My name is Chris Garcia. I'm a physical therapist down in San Diego. I have a cash-based business. Started in 2014. Did 2 years just mobile and gyms, and then we grew to our first location in 2016, and we now have 3 locations, 15 staff, and really trying to figure out what the next step is in our business. But ultimately, I've been in this group probably for 5 years. 5 years, and it's really helped us make those adjustments to be able to know when to scale, know when to hire, what to do with our staff. So I'm really grateful to be part of the community.
Just talk to me a little bit about the journey of scaling to three locations.
Yeah, so on paper, the 3 locations sounds really big, and that's exciting. But that journey is, as you guys can imagine, is not easy. So kind of going back to where I started in 2014, I started solo, just going to the gyms, much like a lot of you, just trying to hustle, just trying to figure it out, working 70, 80 hours. And at the time, I wasn't employed. I didn't have a job. I had no choice. I had just finished working pro sports, and I knew I had something I could deliver at a higher rate than anybody else in my local community. So I literally figured out a way that I can just approach people. My skill, my superpower is to say, I just love people. I just love developing people, whether that's a client, my staff. So I met people, and I was able to help get them better. And over 2 years, I developed a 5-6 week wait list, and I was like, I got something here. Like, this is unique. And my wife and I, we were trying to have our first kid, and we kind of looked at each other, and we're like, all right, we're going to do this. We said, yeah, let's try. So we get pregnant, and working 60, 80 hours doesn't really work well with a newborn, as you guys know. And so as we were about 3 or 4 weeks away from having our first child, the gym owner where I was working, he says, hey, next door is going to open up for you. Do you want to take that space? I need the back space. You take the front space. I was like, oh, that sounds great. We're going to have a baby in 3 weeks. Can we pause this? He says, no. We're signing today. We're signing tomorrow. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. He said, yeah, we're going to go on the 1st. I said, okay, well, we have a couple weeks, so my kid will be born a little bit later, and we'll be able to do this. So I signed the contract, and I'm like, oh, perfect. We got 1 or 2 more weeks, and they come a little early. And so they came the day before I got the keys. So my wife delivered on the 31st, August 31st, and the gym owner calls me the next day. He says, hey, rent's due, and I got your keys. I said, oh, that's cool, I'll be there tonight. He's like, no, I need to check today, and I'll hand you your keys. So my wife, who was postpartum 1 day, we started renovations with our first facility day one with a brand new newborn. And my wife and I started the practice. She's a physical therapist, so it took 2 years to get to the point where we can open a practice. And I did the opposite route than everybody else. I hired way too fast, too many people, and I took too many risks. I hired 17 people in a year. Does that sound crazy? Everyone here, eyebrows. Shit. I love people, and I want to nurture, and I want to develop every single one. Right? You come to my clinic, this is my house, your house, we'll do it together. And the problem was, that was great, but I didn't have all the A players to take that and lead with me. And at that point, I struggled because I brought 17 people with no processes. 0. Where's the handbook? I don't know. Where's the bathroom? I don't know. I got a bunch of patients in front of you. Let's go. And that sounds easy, but people's lives change and all these other things. So as you can tell, I didn't know Paul at this point. I knew Jason. And Jason's shaking his head, and this guy's hot-headed. He's like, what the F are you doing, right? So at this point, I'm trying to figure out, what do I do? What's the best strategy for me? I got 17 people who are right behind me. Some are further back. And I just didn't know what the next step was. So I joined the group, and we started to kind of figure it out. So I went from 17 to 10. I had to get to a core, right? I had to get to my core group. And I found my 10, and their lives changed, and COVID happened, all these other things. So I dwindled down, and I came down to 6 people. And we went from 17 to 6. Now we're back up to 15. And after today, we might come down a little bit tighter to the central core. And over this journey, we've expanded in staff, but we've expanded in locations, not because I wanted to. Believe it or not, it's not because I wanted to. It's because people literally said, you have something special. We have a gym so far away. Would you be interested in housing, like moving your locations here? And for me, I was like, that's an honor. I love people. Give me opportunities. I'll take a risk all day, every day. And I took the risk, and I opened the second location within a few years of opening our first, because somebody literally said, "Hey, there's a space available." Well, I didn't do all the numbers to figure that out. I was like, "Let's party. Let's do this." So now I'm a little bit more calculated. You're like, all you guys raising your eyebrows, like, this guy's crazy. But that's me. That's what I love to do. I'll take those things. But now I have to step back and say, is this the right thing? Because it's not only me anymore. It's my staff. It's my team. I put them at risk. And that's what I failed to do as an owner. Like, congrats to you, Ross, you have 5, and that's amazing. But what I realized was I was doing everything for myself, and I knew this would work. I know we can serve more people, but I forgot about one of the most important customers, which was my team, my staff. That's what I failed to do. And that was my fault as a leader. And yeah, I'm a great leader. I could have been a better leader in the past. I am where I am now because I made those mistakes. And my core group, my ride or dies, they're here. They're here with me. Christiana, 6 years. She used to be our babysitter. People like that. Jesus to Jason is Christiana to me. She was our babysitter. She asked, "Hey, can I help at the front desk?" No. I told her that, literally with that finger, no. 17 years old, watching our baby at our clinic, was just born. The baby was just born, so we brought the baby to the clinic. She's over here watching, helping, and she's like, she sees the phone ringing off the hook. She's like, "Can I answer the phone?" No, nobody answers the phone like that. I answer the phone the best. So while I treat, you sit there, you wait, and I'm gonna answer the calls. And she just did that. She shook her head, "Fine, do whatever you want." And I finally said, "Hey, can you take a call?" She was pleasant. She wanted to help people, and I was like, "All right, you got something there. Perfect." And then she was like, "Hey, can I help with marketing? Because we need more." We hired 17 people. How do you not market when you have 17 staff? And she was like, "Can I market?" I was like, "Perfect." She did that. And then she just grew, and she was like, "Hey, can I be the coordinator? Can I do this?" I was like, "No, not doing that either. You don't know how to manage people." And then right. She should have said that. Like, neither do you. So as we went through this process, like at every step, I said no to her. And she came up, and I was like, this girl won't stop. And it was like, you got a talent spot. This person's right under your nose, and you're like, I wonder who's gonna be great. And they're like, me, just so at that point, I realized that there was something special in her, and I brought her up, and now she's our operations manager, and it's fantastic. And now she's coaching, people who are 10 years older than her, significantly more years of experience and practice. And what Paul's message was about a young manager and those type of things, those are real. And so as a leader, you have to be able to find out, like, how do I help that person conquer that? Like, those are internal fears. So we've gone from our first location to our second and developing these individuals, and we acquired our third location because we acquired a cash-based practice who couldn't figure it out, who went too high on staff, who did all these other things. I was like, I know what you're doing wrong. Give me that. I'll take that. So we acquired a third location, and here we are today with 3 organically, only because we just want to help more people. We want to expand in our community. We're dialing in our leadership. We're centralizing to our core, hire the right people. Believe me, this is not as easy as it sounds. I'm still making a lot of mistakes, but I don't care. At this point, my people here who are my ride or dies, like, they don't even care. If I say I fucked up, they're like, "Sounds good. What do you want?" Literally, Diego, my marketing assistant, the day before, he didn't know he was going to be here until Wednesday. Annual review, I said, "You're horrible at leadership." Literally, I used that word, horrible, right? I'm working on my leadership. We said, on a scale of 1 to 10, I said, "How aggressive do you want me to be?" He's like, 10. All right, perfect. "You're a 4 out of 10 in leadership. You're horrible." And he was like, "Oh, okay." But he took it, right? He just took it all that. And he said, I said, "Hey, we're going to Vegas." He's like, "All right, what do you want me to do?" I was like, "What do you think we're gonna do?" He's like, "I don't care, I'll shine shoes. What do you want me to do?" And I was like, that is what I've developed and nurtured over the last 3 years. He's been with me for 3 years, Christiana for 6, other employees for 5, for 4, for 3. They're just growing with me. And at that point, at this point in leadership, as we grow and scale, my job now is to develop them, create a massive vision for the company, and just put people in the right seats. And at this point, like, this is my passion. So I have done everything that they have too. I'm struggling right there with them, but all I can do is put better people right there with me, and it gives me the platform to be successful. So that's my journey from 17 to 10 to being horrible to doing all these things to a babysitter. That's my story.
Just quickly, talk to me a little bit about that. You talked about being so, risk heavy. You got that heavy personality, go, go, go. What was it that when you met Paul that was kind of, this guy from Hartlepool can actually help me?
Yeah, and the irony of all this, if you guys didn't hear that earlier, Paul's gonna be in San Diego this week, so we'll go out to dinner. So we met at a restaurant. So I was taking a course. Paul was an attendee at a course where I knew what he was doing now, but he was in a course for a business coach who was teaching other physical therapists on business. And there's Paul sitting in the room with, I think, Jared Carter and you and some other people that were in there. And some way we connected, and he's like, "Hey, you want to have dinner?" And I was like, "Oh, that's fine." So my wife and I didn't have any kids. We're like a year or two into practice, and he has one, and he starts talking to me, and I'm just talking about what's the opportunity, what can I do, and he just had a different spin on like an approach. I didn't know I was going to hit 17 employees. I just thought, like, if I hire and I have leads, people just treat. That sounds easy. That doesn't. But he was a little more calculated. He just kind of talked about, like, he just asked questions. I was like, fuck, what? 17 employees, just make them work. And he's just like, but like, how are you going to do this? Why? And the strategy. And he just made me think constantly. And I was just like, there's something different because of that. It just made me think. And it was my wife and I who were having that barrier of like, no, we don't do that. We don't need anybody. We can figure this out on our own. And like, that's completely stupid. Just because you did PT school doesn't mean that you can do business. You didn't. This is a whole different school. So yeah, for me, it was just the constant questioning, and the thought process and strategy was completely different than what I had seen before.